chapter 18. And after these things, having departed out of Athens, Paul went to Corinth. And after finding a certain Jew named Aquila, of Pontus by birth, lately come from Italy, and Priscilla his wife, because Claudius had ordered all Jews to depart out of Rome, he came to them, and because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and was working, for they were tent makers by trade. And he was reasoning in the synagogue every Sabbath, persuading both Jews and Greeks. But when both Silas and Timothy came down from Macedonia, Paul was constrained by the Spirit, fully testifying to the Jews Jesus the Christ. But when they opposed him and blasphemed, after shaking out his garments, said to them, "Your blood be upon your heads. I am clean. From now on, I will go to the Gentiles." And after he left there, he went to the house of a certain man named Justus, a worshipper of God, whose house was next to the synagogue. And Crispus, the ruler of the synagogue, believed on the Lord with his whole household. And many of the Corinthians, hearing, were believing and being immersed. And the Lord said to Paul through a vision in the night, "Do not be afraid, but go on speaking, and do not be silent, because I am with you, and no one will set upon you to harm you, because I have many people in this city." And he stayed 1 year and 6 months, teaching the word of God among them. But when Gallio was proconsul of Achaia, the Jews rose up against Paul with one accord and brought him before the judgment seat, saying, "This man persuades men to worship God contrary to the law." But when Paul was about to open his mouth, Gallio said to the Jews, "If indeed then it were a wrongdoing or some wicked crime, O Jews, there would be reason to put up with you. But if it is a question concerning words and names and your own law, you will see to it yourselves, for I do not wish to be a judge of these things." And he drove them away from the judgment seat. And all the Greeks, after taking hold of Sosthenes, the synagogue ruler, began beating him before the judgment seat. And none of these things concerned Gallio. But Paul, after remaining yet many days, taking leave of the brothers, sailed away to Syria, and Priscilla and Aquila with him. In Cenchrea he had his head shorn, for he was keeping a vow. And he came down to Ephesus and left them there. But he himself, after entering the synagogue, reasoned with the Jews. And after they asked him to stay with them for a longer time, he did not consent, but he took leave of them, saying, "I must by all means keep the coming feast in Jerusalem, but I will return again to you, God willing." And he set sail from Ephesus. And after landing in Caesarea, going up and greeting the assembly, he went down to Antioch. And after spending some time there, he went forth, passing in order through the region of Galatia and Phrygia, strengthening all the disciples. Now a certain Jew named Apollos, an Alexandrian by birth, an eloquent man, being mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. He had been instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he was speaking and teaching accurately concerning the things of the Lord, knowing only the immersion of John. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue. And after hearing him, Aquila and Priscilla took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. And when he wanted to pass through into Achaia, the brothers wrote to the disciples, encouraging them to welcome him, who after arriving greatly helped those who had believed through grace. For he vigorously refuted the Jews publicly, demonstrating through the scriptures that Jesus is the Christ.